They said Christmas was canceled, money's tight, we're just staying in. So I spent the day alone. That night, my cousin posted a video, a full house, turkey carving, family-only invites. Everyone was there. Except me. I stayed quiet until Dad texted, "Can you help with the mortgage?" I replied, "Ask the family you chose," then cut off every payment and watched the fallout begin. Can you even imagine being told your family Christmas is canceled because they're too broke, only to discover they lied to your face? And not only that, they're throwing a lavish party, filled with everyone but you, all while using your hard-earned money to fund their deception. This isn't just about a canceled holiday. It's a gut-wrenching tale of betrayal that ripped my family apart, and it still makes me wonder, how could they do this? My name is Brittany, I'm 28, and for most of my life, I truly believed family was everything. Christmas, especially, was sacred. Growing up in Willowbrook, Arizona, a small town where everyone knew everyone, holidays were pure magic. My parents, Michael and Laura, along with my younger brother Josh and sister Katie, instilled in us these strong values about family bonds. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Those Christmas memories, Mom spending weeks decorating, Dad driving us to see lights with hot chocolate, our silly matching pajamas, taking turns opening one gift on Christmas Eve, they were the foundation of my childhood joy. I was always the academic one. I worked my tail off, got a scholarship to Arizona State, and even though college was tough, I still came home for every single holiday. Family was always my #1 priority. After graduating with honors, I landed a dream job at Tech Fusion in Seattle. It was an incredible opportunity, even if it meant moving over 1,000 miles away. My starting salary? More than both my parents combined. I was proud, but I definitely missed being close to home. Then, 3 years ago, everything changed. Dad lost his job at the manufacturing plant where he'd worked for 20 years. He was 54, struggling to find new work. Mom worked part-time, but their combined income just wasn't enough to cover the mortgage on the house they'd been paying off for 18 years. I still remember the call. Dad was in tears, absolutely terrified they'd lose the family home. My heart just broke for him. "I'll help," I told him without a second thought. "Just tell me what you need." That was the beginning of my financial support. First, it was a few months of mortgage payments. Then, utility bills when winter hit. Soon, I was transferring a steady $2,000 every single month just to keep them afloat. "It's just temporary, Princess," Dad would say, using my childhood nickname. "Until I get back on my feet." I never minded. My job was thriving, I'd been promoted twice, and my salary allowed me to live comfortably in Seattle while still supporting them. Even with the distance, I called them every single Sunday without fail. As Christmas approached this year, our calls became more frequent. I hadn't been home in 6 months because of a massive work project with tons of overtime and weekend hours. But the thought of Christmas with my family, that's what kept me going. I can't wait to see everyone. I gushed to Mom in early December. "I've been putting aside money all year for gifts." "We've missed you, sweetie," she replied. "Katie keeps asking when you're coming home." I spent hours, searching for the perfect gifts. Premium fishing gear for Dad, a silver locket for Mom, the latest gaming console for Josh, a new laptop for Katie. I even bought special gifts for my aunts, uncles, and cousins. The cost was significant, but after a year of financial support and barely any vacation, I felt I deserved to splurge a bit. I booked my flight for December 23rd, planning 10 glorious days with the people I loved most. My apartment in Seattle is modern, but it lacks that warmth, you know? I decorated a tiny artificial tree, but it was nothing like Mom's elaborate displays. I worked extra hard to clear my schedule, staying late, sometimes until 9 or 10 at night. My boss, Samantha, noticed. "You're really pushing yourself, Brittany," she said one evening. "Make sure you enjoy your time off. You've earned it." "I will," I promised. Christmas with family is worth every late night. I daydreamed about sledding with my siblings at Pinehurst Hill, helping Mom bake gingerbread cookies, Dad pretending not to sneak dough. Just picturing us all by the fireplace opening gifts, that anticipation kept me afloat. It had been a tough year, and the weight of supporting my family financially was heavy. But those smiles, the hugs, the laughter, that was my reward. Christmas was going to be my reward for all the sacrifices. 2 weeks before my flight, I shipped the carefully wrapped gifts to my parents. I texted Mom to keep them hidden until Christmas morning. "These are special," I wrote. "Can't wait to see everyone's reaction." That was the last normal conversation we had. The call came on a Wednesday evening, just 11 days before Christmas. I'd just gotten home, exhausted, from a 10-hour day. My phone rang with Mom's familiar ringtone, and I answered with a smile, ready to finalize holiday plans. "Brittany, honey," her voice sounded strange, hesitant. "I need to talk to you about Christmas." Something in her tone made me sit down. "What about it? Is everything okay?" "Well," she continued, her voice oddly distant, "your father and I have been talking, and we think We think it might be better to skip the big celebration this year. Money's just too tight, and we're feeling overwhelmed. I frowned, confused. Mom, I've been helping with bills all year. I'm happy to bring extra for the holidays. It's not just that, she insisted. We're just going to stay in this year. Nothing special. Maybe it's better if you save your vacation days for another time. This made no sense. Christmas was our most important tradition. We'd celebrated even through the absolute leanest times when I was growing up. Mom, I already bought all the gifts. They're on their way and my flight is booked for next week. She sighed. The gifts are too much, Brittany. We can't match that kind of spending, and it makes everyone uncomfortable. I don't expect anything in return. I said, a knot forming in my stomach. I just want to see everyone. We can do a simple celebration. I'll even cook dinner myself. There was muffled conversation on her end, then Dad's voice. Princess, listen, he said. We're just staying in this year. Nothing special. Just a quiet day for your mother and me. But what about Josh and Katie and the cousins? We always spend Christmas together. Everyone understands, he said, firmly. It's just 1 year. We'll do something next summer instead, when things aren't so hectic. I tried everything. I offered to book a restaurant, shorten my trip, even suggested just immediate family. Each suggestion was met with a gentle, but firm, we're just staying in. Nothing special this year. By the end of the call, I felt deflated, but I tried to be understanding. Times had been tough for them. Maybe the pressure of hosting was just too much. Still, canceling everything instead of scaling down seemed extreme. I can still send the gifts, right? I asked before hanging up. If you want to, Mom replied, sounding strangely disinterested. But don't expect anything elaborate in return. After the call, I sat on my couch, staring at my small Christmas tree. The excitement I'd felt for weeks had vanished, replaced by confusion and a deep disappointment. I tried to be mature about it. They were under financial stress, and I, of all people, understood that. The next day, I canceled my flight. No refund, just a credit. Another disappointment. What was I going to do with 10 days of approved vacation now? I texted my siblings. Josh replied, yeah, tough year. Katie didn't respond, which was totally out of character. Over the next few days, I tried to maintain some connection. A group video call on Christmas morning? Mom said their internet was spotty. A care package with cinnamon roll ingredients? Dad texted back that they were watching their sugar intake. Each rejection felt stranger than the last. My parents weren't health conscious, and our rural Arizona town had perfectly reliable internet. Something was off. A week before Christmas, the tracking showed my gifts had been delivered. I texted Mom to confirm. Yes, got them, was her only reply. No excitement. No gratitude. Just a dull confirmation, like I'd sent a box of paper clips, not carefully chosen presents. I tried calling that evening, but no answer. I left a cheerful voicemail, wishing them a peaceful holiday, hiding my hurt. Neither parent called back. 3 days before Christmas, I got a text from Dad. Nothing special happening here on Christmas Eve or day. Just staying in. Don't worry about calling. We might turn phones off to relax. Don't worry about calling on Christmas. In 28 years, I had never spent a Christmas without at least speaking to my family by phone. Now, they were actively discouraging me from even making contact. As the day itself approached, their responses became evasive, distant. Josh stopped replying. Katie said she was super busy with friends. My parents' communications were infrequent and brief. Still, I sent cheerful messages. I still held out hope that on Christmas Day, they'd reach out or at least express some warmth. I tried to ignore the growing sense that something was horribly wrong. The gifts I'd shipped represented weeks of thoughtful selection, a significant portion of my savings. The thought of them sitting unopened, or worse, opened without care, was agonizing. But more than the money, it was the emotional investment that hurt. Each gift was my love, my desire to bring them joy despite the distance. Christmas Eve arrived, silent and heavy with snow in Seattle. In years past, this would be when I called my family, wishing them a Merry Christmas Eve before we all put on our matching pajamas. This year, my calls went straight to voicemail. That night, I fell asleep with my phone clutched in my hand, still hoping for a message that never came. I woke up on Christmas morning to the sound of silence. No excited calls, no cheerful group texts. Just the hum of my apartment building. This was my first Christmas alone in 28 years. Even though I'd known for almost 2 weeks, the reality of it hit me with unexpected force. I checked my phone, nothing. The screen reflected a stark emptiness that matched the feeling in my chest. Merry Christmas to me, I whispered to the empty room. I had made half-hearted attempts at festive decor. My small artificial tree stood in the corner, a few gifts beneath it from coworkers and my best friend, Amy. I'd hung lights, lit a holiday candle. But now, they felt like sad imitations. I shuffled to the kitchen, made coffee, and tried to decide how to spend the day. I declined invitations from Seattle friends, foolishly believing my own family might change their minds. Now I faced hours of solitude. After breakfast, I called my parents' home phone, then their cells. All went to voicemail. I left bright, cheerful messages, wishing them a Merry Christmas, making no mention of my hurt. Hi Mom and Dad. Just wanted to wish you both a very Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a peaceful day like you wanted. I love you both and miss you. The gifts are from me, of course. Hope you like them. My voice sounded artificial, even to my own ears. I maintained the facade. Maybe their phones really were off for relaxation. I tried Josh, then Katie. Neither answered. With communication attempts exhausted, I needed to occupy myself. I put on Christmas music and decided to prepare a small holiday meal. It wouldn't be Mom's traditional turkey, but I could make something special for just me. A small ham, mashed potatoes. As I chopped and stirred, I found myself talking out loud, narrating the cooking process like I was on a show. It was better than silence. Now we'll add a glaze to the ham. Just brown sugar, a bit of mustard, and some spices. My voice echoed. I swallowed hard against the lump in my throat. By 3 p.m., my meal was ready. I set my small dining table with my best dishes, lit a candle, even put on a nice sweater. As I sat down alone, I took a photo of my plate. I almost posted it on social media, but stopped. I didn't want my family to see me alone if they were checking feeds. I didn't want their pity. The food was good, but it tasted like nothing. I ate mechanically, then packed away the leftovers. Afterward, I opened my few gifts. A scarf from a coworker, wine from my boss, and Amy's. I saved Amy's for last, knowing she'd put thought into it. Inside was a beautiful photo frame with a picture of us from college graduation, arms around each other, huge grins. Her note, for your new place. Never forget who's always in your corner. Love you, friend. Tears sprang to my eyes. Amy and I met freshman year. She was still my rock. She'd even invited me to Boston when she heard my plans fell through, but last-minute airfare was impossible. I texted her a photo of the frame. Love it. Love you. Merry Christmas. Her reply came instantly. Merry Christmas. How are you holding up alone? I hesitated, then replied honestly. It's harder than I expected. No word from family yet. That's weird, she responded. Have you checked social media to see if they posted anything? I hadn't. I'd been actively avoiding social platforms all day, not wanting to see everyone else's perfect family gatherings. But Amy's suggestion planted a seed of curiosity. If they were truly having a quiet day, there would be nothing to see, right? I'll check later, I promised Amy. Watching Christmas movies now. I wasn't, but I needed time to decide. A part of me feared what I might find. The afternoon crawled into evening. Snow continued to fall in Seattle. In Arizona, it would be sunny and mild. I imagined my childhood home, my parents quietly reading. No decorations, no special meal, no celebration. I tried calling one more time around 6 p.m. Still no answer from anyone. The silence was becoming deafening. By 8 p.m., I had run out of distractions. Cleaned the kitchen, reorganized my bookshelf, wrapped myself in a blanket, staring blankly at a Christmas movie on my laptop. The character's holiday joy felt like a mockery of my solitude. With nothing left to occupy my restless mind, I finally opened Instagram. I told myself I was just checking on friends, but Amy's suggestion lingered. What if my family had posted something? I didn't have to look far. A notification popped up the moment I opened the app. Jackson Williams went live 30 minutes ago. Jackson was my cousin, my dad's sister's son. We'd grown up together. My thumb hovered over his profile. Hesitation mixed with a cold dread. If the family truly was having a quiet, scaled-back Christmas, there would be nothing notable. I tapped the screen. The video began playing, and my world utterly collapsed. There was my childhood home, but it bore no resemblance to the quiet, minimal Christmas my parents had described. The living room was transformed. Elaborate decorations. A massive tree, piled high with brightly wrapped presents. Garlands draped the staircase. Festive centerpieces on every surface. But it wasn't just the decorations. It was the people. The house was full, brimming with familiar faces. My brother, Josh, lounged on the couch, laughing, wearing a new sweater I didn't recognize. Katie sat cross-legged by the tree, sorting gift tags with our younger cousins. Aunts, uncles, all clustered, holding wine glasses and plates of appetizers. And there, in the center of it all, were my parents. Mom wore a beautiful red dress I'd never seen, her hair freshly styled. Dad stood beside her, in a new button-down shirt, carving a massive turkey on the dining room table. Annual Williams Family Christmas Feast. Jackson narrated, panning across the room. Everyone's here for the big day. Everyone except me. I felt physically ill. A wave of nausea rose in my throat. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped my phone. But I couldn't stop watching. The camera moved to the mantel, where elegant Christmas cards were displayed. I froze the frame, zoomed in. They weren't cards. They were invitations. Gold script on cream paper. Williams family Christmas celebration. Family only. December 25th, 3 p.m. Family only. The words burned into my brain. I continued watching, a sense of detached horror washing over me, as Jackson's tour showed relative after relative, all gathered in the home where I'd been told nothing special was happening. Where Christmas had supposedly been canceled due to tight finances. Where I had been explicitly told not to come. The video moved to the gift exchange. I watched as my mother opened a small jewelry box and gasped in delight, holding up an expensive-looking diamond pendant. "Michael, it's beautiful," she exclaimed, kissing my father's cheek. The same father who had been accepting $2,000 from me monthly. The same mother who had said they couldn't afford Christmas this year. And I recognized some of the wrapped packages under the tree. They were my gifts. Sitting unopened in the corner, clearly set aside and forgotten in the excitement. Then came my father's speech. He stood, holding a glass of champagne, another expense they supposedly couldn't afford, and addressed the room. "I want to thank everyone for making it here today," he said, smiling broadly. Looking around, I see everyone who matters to us. Everyone who makes this family special. Everyone who matters. The words were a knife to my heart. "This year hasn't been easy," he continued. "But having all of you here makes everything worthwhile. To family." The room echoed. "To family." A family that apparently didn't include me. The video ended with dessert and more gifts being opened. My gifts remained untouched. An afterthought. I replayed the video 3 times, capturing screenshots. Each image was more damning. The elaborate meal, the expensive new clothes, the professionally decorated house, the champagne, the diamond pendant. The physical symptoms of shock set in. My hands went cold and numb. My chest constricted. The room seemed to spin. I had to put down the phone and focus on breathing. I ran to the bathroom and threw up the Christmas dinner I had prepared for myself. Kneeling on the cold tile, I finally allowed the tears to come. They weren't gentle tears. They were harsh, body-racking sobs of pure betrayal. 3 years of financial support. 3 years of sacrificing my own savings. 3 years of believing I was essential to keeping my family afloat. And all of it, apparently, a lie. They hadn't canceled Christmas because they couldn't afford it. They had simply canceled Christmas with me. After the initial shock subsided, I returned to Instagram with a methodical determination. My brother's profile. Best Christmas ever with a fam. A photo of him, Mom, Dad, and Katie, all in matching Christmas sweaters, all smiling broadly. Katie's stories, the entire day documented, from breakfast to gifts. Annual Williams Christmas Magic. My Aunt Susan's profile, photos going back weeks, showing preparations. Can't wait for our family Christmas. A post from December 10th right around the time Mom called to tell me the holiday was canceled. With shaking hands, I texted the screenshots to Amy. Her response was immediate. "What the actual hell? Call me now." I did. The moment I heard her voice, I broke down again. They lied to me. I sobbed. They told me Christmas was canceled, that they were just staying in, that money was too tight. And they're all there without me. "Oh my God, Brittany," Amy whispered. I don't even have words. I've been sending them money every month." I continued, the words pouring out between sobs. $2,000. To help with the mortgage, with bills. Dad lost his job, said they might lose the house. I've been helping them for 3 years, Amy. 3 years. And now they're buying diamond necklaces and throwing huge parties. The outrage in her voice mirrored the feeling building inside me. "I don't understand," I said, my voice small and broken. "What did I do wrong? Why wouldn't they want me there?" "You didn't do anything wrong," Amy said firmly. "This is about them, not you. This is exploitation, Brittany. They've been taking advantage of you." The word hit me hard. Exploitation? Was that what this was? Had my own family been using me? "I need to look at something," I said suddenly. "I'll call you back." I hung up and immediately opened my banking app. There it was, the recurring monthly transfer. $2,000 on the first of every month for the past 36 months. $72,000 total. I scrolled through my text history with my father. Every month, like clockwork, a thank you after the transfer. "This helps so much, Princess. Don't know what we'd do without you. Just until things turn around." I searched my email for receipts of additional help, car repairs, medical bills, property taxes. Thousands more, beyond the regular transfers. Money I could have saved for my own future, spent believing I was keeping my family stable. The betrayal cut deeper with each revelation. This wasn't a one-time exclusion. This was a pattern of deception, designed to keep me sending money while keeping me at a distance. I called Amy back. "I need to see how long this has been happening," I said, my voice now eerily calm. The tears had stopped, replaced by a cold, focused anger. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I'm going to find out the truth," I replied. "All of it." Over the next few hours, Amy stayed on the phone with me as I conducted a thorough investigation. The more I uncovered, the more extensive the betrayal appeared. I think I should check their other social media accounts, I told Amy, my voice hollow as the initial shock gave way to methodical fact-finding. Do it, she encouraged. You deserve to know exactly what's been happening. I started with Facebook. My father's profile revealed numerous gatherings over the past year that I'd known nothing about. Family barbecues, a lavish Thanksgiving dinner, even a vacation to San Diego in October. No one had mentioned it. They told me they couldn't afford a vacation this year, I said to Amy, my voice rising with indignation. I even offered to take them somewhere for their anniversary, but Mom said traveling was too expensive. While you were working overtime to send them money, Amy added, disgust evident in her tone. My mother's profile yielded even more damning evidence. Photos of shopping trips, expensive purchases, check-ins at upscale restaurants. A post about their new entertainment system from just 2 months ago, complete with a picture of a massive flat-screen television that must have cost at least $2,000. $2,000. I whispered. The exact amount I sent them monthly to help with the mortgage. Amy, I think I've been funding their lifestyle, not their necessities. I suspected something was off with them, Amy admitted quietly. Remember when I visited you in Arizona last year? Your mom was wearing a designer watch, but they were still accepting your money for emergencies. I did remember. I'd noticed the watch but assumed it was a gift. I hadn't wanted to believe my parents would spend frivolously while claiming financial hardship. Why didn't you say something? I asked, not accusingly, but genuinely curious. You were so convinced they needed your help, Amy replied gently. You spoke about it with such pride, being able to support them. I didn't have proof they were taking advantage, just a feeling. I didn't want to hurt you without being certain. The conversation made me reflect on other warning signs I'd missed. The new car Dad started driving, supposedly a great deal. The kitchen renovation Mom mentioned, just some minor updates, which now, from photos, I saw was a complete, high-end remodel. I returned to Instagram and scrolled further back through Jackson's profile. There, from 6 months ago, was a post that made my blood run cold. Another fantastic Williams family reunion. So great having everyone together. The photo showed my entire extended family gathered at a lakeside cabin. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. They've been excluding me from family gatherings for at least 6 months, I told Amy, my voice breaking again. Probably longer. But why, Amy? Amy asked the question I couldn't answer. You've done nothing but support them. You're successful, generous, kind. What possible reason could they have for cutting you out? I had no explanation that made sense. I had always been the responsible one, the achiever, the child they bragged about. At least, that's what I thought. I need to check something else, I said suddenly. Let me call you back. I hung up and immediately opened my email, searching for recent conversations with Katie. We had discussed her visiting me in Seattle, me offering to pay for her flight. Her response now seemed telling, not sure if I can get away from family obligations that week. Maybe another time. Family obligations. That phrase took on new meaning. I searched Josh's emails too. 3 invitations I'd sent for him to visit Seattle in the past year, all declined for vague reasons. Never a suggestion of an alternative date. My family hadn't just excluded me from this Christmas. They had been systematically cutting me out of their lives while continuing to accept my financial support. I called Amy back. I'm looking at my financial statements from the past 3 years, I told her. After the monthly transfers and the extra emergency help, I've given them nearly $80,000. Jesus Christ, Amy breathed. That's a down payment on a house. That's a huge chunk of retirement savings. Meanwhile, I continued, pulling up property tax records online. There's no indication they were ever in danger of losing their house. Mortgage payments have been made consistently. No liens, no penalties, nothing to suggest financial distress. They lied about the fundamental reason you were sending money, Amy stated flatly. That's not just taking advantage, Brittany. That's fraud. The word hung between us, harsh but accurate. My own parents had defrauded me, their daughter, of tens of thousands of dollars, all while systematically excluding me from family life. I kept making excuses for why I couldn't visit more often, I realized aloud. Work was too busy. Seattle weather was unpredictable. But they never invited me home, Amy. Not once in the last year did they actually ask me to visit. Because they didn't want you to see how they were living, Amy concluded. You might have noticed the disconnect. I continued piecing together the timeline of deception, a knot of anger and hurt tightening in my chest. Every discovery added to the betrayal. Every realization made it clearer. This hadn't been a misunderstanding. This was calculated, ongoing exploitation by the people I trusted most. Through social media posts and conversations with extended family members over the years, I created a rough outline of gatherings I'd been excluded from: an Easter celebration, 4th of July barbecue, Labor Day weekend at a rental cabin, Thanksgiving. And now Christmas. 5 major family events in 1 year, all deliberately hidden from me. The worst part, I told Amy as midnight approached, is that I genuinely believed I was helping them survive a difficult time. I cut back on my own expenses. I put minimum payments on my student loans instead of paying extra. I delayed starting a retirement account. Also, I could help them keep their home and maintain some dignity after Dad lost his job. While they were taking luxury vacations and buying diamond necklaces, Amy finished, no longer bothering to hide her outrage. Why? I asked again, the question circling back. Why would they do this to me? Some people take advantage wherever they can, Amy said softly. Even from those they should protect most. It's not about you, Brittany. It's about who they are. As Christmas Day came to a close, I sat surrounded by screenshots and financial statements. The evidence of my family's betrayal laid bare before me. The pain was evolving, transforming from the sharp shock of discovery to a deeper, more resolved understanding of what needed to happen next. Amy, I said finally, my voice steady despite the tears that had left tracks on my face. I need to make some changes. I'm with you, she replied instantly. Whatever you decide to do, I'm in your corner. As I prepared for bed that night, my phone chimed. A new message. It was from my father, the first contact from my family all day. My heart raced. Would there be an explanation? An apology? Something to make sense of the inexplicable cruelty? Instead, the message read, "Hope you had a nice Christmas, princess. Quick question. Can you help with the mortgage payment on Monday? Bit short this month. The usual $2,000 would be great. Thanks in advance." I stared at the message, a cold clarity washing over me. After everything I had seen today, after the elaborate celebration they had hosted while telling me Christmas was canceled, my father's only communication was another request for money. In that moment, something shifted permanently inside me. The last lingering doubt about what I needed to do vanished. I didn't reply to the text. Not yet. First, I needed a plan. I spent the next 3 days in a state of focused determination, ignoring all attempts at communication from my family. My father's initial text was followed by several more. "Princess, did you get my message about the mortgage? We're counting on that transfer going through Monday. Is everything okay? You usually respond right away." My mother texted too, "Sweetie, Dad says you haven't confirmed the money transfer. Is everything all right? We need to pay the mortgage." Even my siblings, who had been radio silent on Christmas Day, suddenly found time to check in. "Hey sis, hope your Christmas wasn't too lonely," Josh wrote. "Parents seem worried about reaching you." Katie's message was similar. "Mom's freaking out that you're not responding. Everything okay?" I read each message with a detached interest, noting that their concern was entirely focused on the status of the money, not on my well-being after spending Christmas alone. Not one message mentioned the family gathering. Not one acknowledged the lie. I didn't respond. Instead, I consulted with 2 important people. First, a financial advisor at my bank. I brought all the documentation of transfers. "Were these loans or gifts?" she asked. "They were presented to me as emergency assistance for my parents who were in danger of losing their home," I explained. "But I've recently discovered they were never in financial distress." The advisor nodded sympathetically. "Unfortunately, without written loan agreements, these would legally be considered gifts. However, we can absolutely stop any automatic transfers and secure your accounts." Together, we canceled the recurring transfers, changed passwords, and set up alerts for large withdrawal attempts. My money was now secure. Next, I video called Amy. "I'm ready to respond," I told her. "My finances are secured. Now, I need to establish boundaries." "Are you sure you're ready?" Amy asked gently. "It's okay to take more time." "I'm ready," I confirmed. "If I wait any longer, they'll just find another excuse for why they need money. The cycle needs to end now." Amy nodded. "I'm proud of you, Britt. Whatever happens, remember this is about protecting yourself, not punishing them, even if they deserve it." With my finances secured and my resolve strengthened, I finally responded to my father's text on the evening of December 28th, 3 days after Christmas. The message I'd received that morning had been more urgent. "Brittany, we need to know if the money is coming tomorrow. The mortgage payment is due." My reply was simple, but impactful. "Ask the family you chose." Within minutes, my phone exploded. First, a call from Dad, which I declined. Then Mom, then Josh. All went unanswered. Text messages flooded in. "Dad, what do you mean by that?" "Mom, Brittany, what's wrong? We need that money for the house." "Josh, sis, parents are freaking out. Call them." "Katie, what did you say to Dad? He's really upset." I remained silent, watching the panic unfold from a distance. It was telling that their concerns centered entirely around the money, not around understanding what might be wrong. Finally, after an hour of ignored calls and texts, I sent a group message to my immediate family. I attached several of the screenshots, images of the Christmas gathering, the expensive gifts, the family invitations. My message read, "I saw everything. I know Christmas wasn't canceled. I know it wasn't a quiet day at home. I know everyone was there except me. I've contributed over $80,000 to this family over 3 years, believing you needed help to survive. That ends today. All automatic payments have been canceled." The response was immediate chaos. My phone rang continuously for the next hour. I turned it to silent. A strange calm settled over me. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my relationship with my family. When I finally checked my messages before bed, I found dozens of texts, ranging from defensive to apologetic to outright manipulative. "My mother, you're completely misunderstanding. We didn't think you could make it home with your busy job. We were protecting you from feeling obligated to travel." "My father, this is a huge overreaction to a simple misunderstanding. We need that money for the mortgage, princess. The family depends on you." Josh tried a different approach. "Look, nobody meant to hurt your feelings, but cutting off financial support hurts everyone. Think about what you're doing." Katie was the only one who showed a hint of genuine remorse. "I'm really sorry, Brittany. I should have told you about the gathering. I just went along with what Mom and Dad said." I didn't respond to any of them that night. Instead, I drafted emails to my landlord, utility companies, and other regular expenses, explaining that payments from my account might be attempted by unauthorized individuals and should be declined without verbal confirmation from me. I couldn't put it past them to try accessing other accounts. The next morning, I had a voicemail from my mother that revealed more than she likely intended. "Brittany, you need to stop this tantrum immediately." Her voice was tight with anger, not concern. "Your father and I have supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By abandoning your family over a silly Christmas party? We have the mortgage payment due, the property taxes coming up, and we just put a deposit down on a Tahiti cruise for February. We can't afford all this without your help. Call me back immediately." A cruise. They had booked a cruise while telling me they couldn't afford Christmas. The final piece of confirmation I needed. Instead of calling her back, I made an appointment with a therapist specializing in family trauma. I knew I would need professional support to process the magnitude of this betrayal. That afternoon, I received a call from an unexpected source, my father's sister, Aunt Sandra. Unlike the rest of the family, she'd always been somewhat of an outsider. "Brittany," she said, "I heard what happened. Your cousin Jackson told me you saw his Christmas video and that you weren't invited. I want you to know I had no idea they told you Christmas was canceled." Her words held a ring of truth that had been absent from my parents' explanations. "I've been sending them money for years, Aunt Sandra," I confessed. "They told me they were about to lose the house after Dad lost his job." There was a long pause. "Your father didn't lose his job 3 years ago, Brittany," she replied gently. "He took early retirement with a pension package. They've never been in danger of losing the house." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Not just manipulation, but an outright fabrication of the very premise that had led me to provide financial support in the first place. Why would they lie about something so fundamental? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. "Your parents have always lived beyond their means," Aunt Sandra explained. "Your success became their solution. They've been bragging to the family about their clever arrangement with you, your generosity funding their lifestyle while they maintain control over the family dynamic by keeping you at a distance so you can't see how they're using your money. And everyone just went along with this?" I asked, the sting of not a single family member reaching out to warn me. "Most people didn't know the extent of it," she admitted. "I only found out recently when your father got drunk at Thanksgiving and boasted about how they had trained you to send money without question. It made me sick, but I didn't have your contact information to warn you." Her honesty, painful as it was, provided the external validation I needed. This wasn't a misunderstanding or an overreaction. This was deliberate exploitation by my parents, enabled by the silence of family members who either didn't know the full truth or chose not to interfere. "Thank you for telling me," I said sincerely. "It helps to know I'm not crazy for feeling betrayed." "You're not crazy," Aunt Sandra assured me. "And you're not alone. I've often been the family outcast myself for questioning your parents' behavior. If you need someone who understands, I'm here." Her support strengthened my resolve. After our call, I composed a formal email to my parents, copying my siblings. After discovering the extent of the deception regarding family finances and being deliberately excluded from family gatherings while continuing to provide financial support, I am terminating all financial assistance effective immediately. Any future communication should acknowledge the truth of what has occurred rather than continuing the pattern of manipulation. I will be taking time to reassess our relationship and what form it may take going forward, if any. The email was met with a barrage of responses, from my mother's outrage, "After all we've done for you," to my father's attempted financial threats, "You'll regret this when tax season comes. You've been claiming some of our expenses," to my brother's sudden concern for my mental health, "You're not thinking clearly, sis. Maybe you should talk to someone." I forwarded these responses to my therapist as examples of the manipulation tactics. Her validation helped me stand firm as the pressure from my family intensified over the following days. 1 week after Christmas, my father sent a text that showed he still hadn't grasped the severity of the situation. Look, we're sorry if your feelings were hurt about Christmas, but we really need the January mortgage payment. Can you put aside this disagreement until we figure things out financially? My response was brief. The mortgage is your responsibility. My bank has been instructed to decline any attempted withdrawals from your accounts. It was the last direct communication I had with my father for months. As January began, I felt a strange mixture of grief and liberation. The family I thought I had was gone, revealed to be an illusion maintained as long as I provided financial benefit. But with that painful truth came freedom from exploitation and the opportunity to rebuild my life on honest foundations. The first month after cutting financial ties was surprisingly peaceful. After the initial flood of calls and messages, there was radio silence from my parents and brother. Only Katie sent an occasional text, usually just to check if I was still mad. I responded politely but maintained my distance, explaining that this wasn't about anger, but about fundamental trust and respect. "I'm not mad, Katie," I wrote. "I'm protecting myself from further exploitation. There is a difference." As February approached, I began hearing updates through Aunt Sandra, who had become an unexpected ally. According to her, my parents were experiencing the natural consequences of losing their daughter ATM. They missed the January mortgage payment. She told me during one of our weekly calls. "Your father's been asking other family members for loans. Are people giving them money?" I asked, concerned someone else might be manipulated. "No," she said with a hint of satisfaction. "Your courage in standing up to them exposed their pattern. Nobody wants to be the next Britney." While I took no pleasure in my parents' financial struggles, there was a certain justice in them finally facing the reality of their own choices. In my own life, I began experiencing the benefits of reclaiming my finances. For the first time in 3 years, I had an extra $2,000 each month to allocate toward my future. I increased my retirement contributions, began building an emergency fund, and even started researching first-time home buyer programs. "It's amazing how much more secure I feel financially," I told Amy. I hadn't realized how much stress I was carrying, always worrying about their next crisis. "That's because there was always a next crisis," Amy pointed out. By design. She was right. Looking back, there had always been some urgent need just after I'd recovered from the previous expense. Each crisis carefully timed to maximize my sense of obligation. February brought another update from Aunt Sandra. My parents had canceled their cruise, unable to make the final payment without my contribution. This news came with a screenshot of a social media post from my mother lamenting that they had to cancel due to unexpected family issues. The subtle attempt to blame me for their situation might have hurt me months earlier, but now I recognized it as another manipulation tactic and just let it go. Through weekly therapy sessions, I began to understand the dysfunctional dynamics. I learned about financial abuse, typically discussed in romantic relationships, but equally applicable here. I explored my need for approval and tendency to overfunction. Most importantly, I began to recognize that I deserved relationships based on mutual respect, not exploitation. "Your generosity isn't the problem," my therapist assured me. "Your boundaries were. But you're fixing that now, and that's tremendous growth." By March, I had established new traditions and connections that began filling the void. I joined a hiking group, accepted dinner invitations from coworkers I'd previously declined, and even started dating again after a 2-year hiatus. I met a kind environmental engineer named David, who valued honest communication above all else. "I've been so focused on proving my worth through sacrifice," I told him on our third date, having shared a simplified version of my story. "I forgot that. Relationships should add to your life, not drain it. Healthy love multiplies resources," he agreed. "It doesn't deplete them." As spring approached, I received the first communication from my family that wasn't centered around money or manipulation. It came from Josh, a handwritten letter that arrived in early April. "I've been thinking a lot about Christmas and everything that happened after," he wrote. "At first, I was angry with you for cutting off Mom and Dad financially, but the more I've watched them scramble and blame everyone but themselves, the more I've realized you might have been right all along. They told us you couldn't come for Christmas because you were too busy and didn't want to be bothered with family stuff. We believed them because it was easier than questioning. I'm sorry for my part in hurting you. I should have reached out directly instead of accepting their version of reality." The letter continued with details of how my parents' financial situation had deteriorated. They had downsized to a smaller car. They were considering selling the house. They had started arguing constantly about money. "I don't tell you this to make you feel guilty," Josh clarified toward the end. "You have nothing to feel guilty about. I tell you so you know that your decision forced some necessary changes. Maybe in time they'll learn from this. Maybe not. Either way, I'd like to have a relationship with my sister again, on healthier terms." I cried after reading his letter, not from pain, but from the validation it provided. Then I called him, our first real conversation in nearly 4 months. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," I told him. "I just couldn't keep sacrificing myself for people who didn't even want me around." "I know that now," he said quietly. And for what it's worth, I did want you around. I just didn't stand up to mom and dad when I should have. It wasn't complete healing, but it was a start. A small bridge being rebuilt between siblings who had been manipulated into distance. Katie followed with her own olive branch a few weeks later, a text message admitting she had known Christmas wasn't really canceled. I was selfish, she confessed. I went along with it because I didn't want to rock the boat. You deserved better from your little sister. These gestures from my siblings were meaningful steps toward potential reconciliation, but I maintained firmer boundaries. I agreed to monthly video calls with each of them, separate from any contact with our parents. I made it clear that I would not discuss my financial situation or entertain requests to resume supporting our parents. My relationship with mom and dad will develop on its own timeline, if at all, I explained to Katie. I'm not asking you to take sides, but I am asking you to respect my boundaries. As for my parents, their approach continued to reveal their true priorities. In May, after nearly 5 months of minimal contact, my father sent an email with the subject line, "Possible compromise." The body read, "Your mother and I are willing to put the Christmas misunderstanding behind us. If you could consider resuming financial support at a reduced level, perhaps $1,000 monthly instead of $2,000, this would be tremendously helpful as we transition to our new budget. In exchange, we promise more transparent communication about family gatherings going forward." The offer contained no apology, no acknowledgement of the deliberate deception, no recognition of the harm. It was purely transactional. I didn't respond. My mother tried a different approach, sending a Mother's Day card with a lengthy handwritten note expressing how much she missed her little girl and how families should stick together through misunderstandings. Again, no genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing, just an attempt to minimize the betrayal and appeal to loyalty. I sent a polite thank you text for the card, but did not engage with the manipulation. By summer, a full 6 months after the Christmas revelation, I had established a new normal that prioritized my well-being. My finances had never been healthier. I had put a down payment on a small condo in a neighborhood I loved. My relationship with David had deepened into something truly supportive and reciprocal. My friendships, especially with Amy, had flourished. Most importantly, I had developed a stronger sense of self-worth that wasn't tied to being needed or being the responsible provider. I learned that true generosity comes from abundance, not obligation, and that healthy relationships involve mutual giving rather than one-sided sacrifice. When Christmas approached again the following year, I felt a twinge of sadness for the family relationships I had lost, but no regret for the boundaries I had established. I created new traditions with my chosen family, hosting a dinner for friends and volunteering at a local shelter on Christmas morning. The joy I found in these connections was authentic in a way my family relationships had not been for years. I did eventually reconnect with my parents, but on dramatically different terms. After nearly 18 months of limited contact, they reached out with what seemed to be genuine remorse, prompted in part by family therapy they had reluctantly begun at Aunt Sandra's insistence. Our relationship now is cautious but cordial. I visit occasionally but maintain clear financial boundaries. No loans, no gifts of money, no discussions of their financial challenges. They have adjusted to their actual income level, selling the large family home and adopting a more modest lifestyle. The most valuable lesson from this painful chapter wasn't about money at all. It was about recognizing that family should be defined by mutual care, respect, and honesty, not by DNA or obligation. It was about learning that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for others is to stop enabling harmful patterns, even when that choice brings short-term pain. And it was about discovering that my worth was never tied to what I could provide or sacrifice, but to who I am as a person, worthy of authentic connection. The Christmas that was canceled turned out to be the greatest gift I ever received, not a celebration of family, but a revelation of truth that allowed me to reclaim my life and rebuild it on foundations of genuine love and respect. Call to action. Have you ever had to create strong boundaries with family members? What happened? I'd love to hear about your experiences and lessons learned in the comments below. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember that sometimes, the family we choose is more important than the family we're born into.